Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 126 of the NgoVo Convo podcast, where two stupids make a hype. That's right. It's hype.
Yes, that's right.
Because I'm one of your hosts, Harrison Now, and I'm joined by Veronica Vo. She's right over there, if you're looking.
I'm
Watching.
here.
She's here. She's got tissues. Don't worry. Trust me. But if you're new here, we just both want an excuse to talk about anything that ranges from animated comics, or really just to clean up our never-ending backlog. Some would say, Veronica, that we're conversing.
Wow. Like NgoVo Convo. NgoVo Convo. Logo's above right above Harrison's head. Wow. Had
You're
one
good.
job.
It's fine.
Had one job.
Yeah, you're just emotionally distraught. I get it. It's fine. It's okay. Don't worry. Because you can watch every episode on youtube.com or listen to it as a podcast by searching up NgoVo Convo on your podcast service of choice. In this episode, Veronica, you made me the host for this very purpose, because we're going to be talking about
Yes, I'm ready.
Attack on Titan Season 4, Part 3, Part 2, or on Crunchyroll, Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapters, Special 2. It's done. It's done, Veronica. And if
The
you haven't,
end.
it's the end.
The end.
We're going to be finally talking about it. I can finally not
Yes.
say that I just don't like the title. But we will talk about our thoughts in a bit.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't seen the last episode of this, it is an hour and 20 something minutes, about an hour and a half.
It's just an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it's on Crunchyroll
it is.
or anywhere else. Mainly Crunchyroll, that's where we
It's
saw it.
mainly Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
The
But yeah,
legal
please-
way. The legal way.
Hey, yo, chill. We know you weeps what you do sometimes. Please come back in like a day, an hour and a half, because you're probably going to be in the same state as Veronica has been for like the last week.
Depression.
I guess we can give our quick non-spoiler thoughts. Yeah. What?
Yeah. So
Off
we
the
both read
bat-
the manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off the bat, I liked it better than the manga ending.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just because it was more fleshed out.
Yes, which is great. Which is what
Mhm.
I think he wanted to do. As soon as he ended it, because he knew. I like this ending a lot better. I think it just got more real when you start hearing the voice actors.
Yes.
Because it's 10 years of their life, and now they're like ending it. So they were extra emotional while like voice acting this. I was like, I can't.
And
I'm
it's funny.
distraught.
It's funny when you say 10 years of their life, when in reality there was a huge break.
Yeah.
Overall timing, like of how production went, it was probably like 7.
So might be
or so.
7.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's just been 10 years, right? It's just been
It's been
odd.
10
Like I'm sure they've
years.
done interviews that everyone's done stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah.
overall, I liked it more than I expected. But I think it's because I had my expectations for when we read, and when did it end? It ended
I think
like
2020.
2020.
Right?
Yeah, hold on.
I think.
But yeah,
2020. Maybe 2021. I might be
I'll go
thinking around the year.
yeah. Let's check it out. 2021. Yeah, April
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
It around that period of like
COVID times.
yes, hardcore COVID times. But
Oh yeah.
overall, like, did you feel the same?
I think so. Yeah. I think definitely hearing the voice actors for me saying their lines, I think that's what really got me. But the ending's definitely more fleshed out. And I mean, it was an hour and a half. That's 4 episodes if you really think about it. About.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
a little over. I
So a
think,
little
but-
over, yeah. So, and they had just like 3 chapters left, or 4 chapters, or something like that,
Yeah,
left to animate.
and it was funny because everyone's like, "Oh, I know people were joking," but I had like a slight fear of like, what if they extend it, because there is a lot going on.
No, there is.
In the lot, like
yeah.
they do so much, but they it was tightened up pretty well, and it was
Yeah.
like I think it was enough because they didn't overdo some things. Like I don't think they missed anything important. They got all the beats that was needed.
No, I think they got.
And then those
everything in.
beats that was needed, they expanded more, if anything. But we'll get into that in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
Overall, overall, I would say the ride was fun. And I think I want to tell people just go ahead and watch it anyway. And I think now with if you binge it, it may be better at this point.
Yes. Because there's no waiting point.
Yes.
There's no
there's no 5-year gap.
There's no 5-year gap.
Annual release of the for these parts. Oh, man.
But I am like, I don't know. I think this might be one of my favorite mangas and animes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so, like, the foreshadowing's really good.
Yes.
I think that Eren as a character is, like, so complicated, but not at the same time because he's just a teenager. And it's just so interesting to kind of, like, dissect into that again. But I try not to because I'm just so depressed.
Meanwhile, me, on the other hand, was sitting on every any quick facts that someone can give, some like deep dives on stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, mainly because when we first read the ending, Veronica and my wife were very, oh, this is really good. I get it. It's fine. Me, I was on the other hand, I'm like, I hate this. What is going on? I don't like this. This is bad. But sitting on it for like a couple years and then finally watching it, I have a better appreciation, especially when I read what Isayama mentioned,
wanted to do.
And I know some people are still gonna be like, oh, this is like, the anime viewers are probably gonna have this debate of like, this is still bad, this feels short, blah blah blah. And then, meanwhile, I'm like, I think it's good for what it was.
It's realistic.
Like, it's realistic, and here we'll talk about like what I read on that, and it was a really good point. But overall, yeah, we both liked it, essentially.
Oh, yeah. No, loved it.
So, don't went on spoilers. We're just going to jump right into it.
Yes, let's go in.
Ready? In 3, 2, all right, 1.
Oh, okay. Final spoiler.
Final warning. Done.
More,
all right.
Yeah.
So, dude, plot-wise, did you feel like everything was... I know we kind of lightly, but to go into depth, like detail, everything kind of flowed better, right? I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, it flowed a lot better this time around.
Yeah.
I think they like blue balled us in the first part because they had to stop. They literally had to stop where the hype was.
But they stopped at a point that made sense.
Yes.
Because if they stopped anywhere at this point, it would have
just.
You would have to. It made sense. It was a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good spot.
No, it flowed better. I think a lot of the like anime only content that was spread in there was really well done, and it like showcased like Eren as like a better character, right? Because everyone thinks he's flawed. I mean, he is flawed.
Well, they finally showed the reveal.
But they showed, why.
Yeah.
Everything happened for the reason.
Because with Eren, like, it was cool in that you get to finally see everything, like what his final plans were. But it's the first time we can actually sit down and talk to him, because the entire season, he's essentially just the bad guy. Because
he's the villain.
He's the villain. Like, no one can talk to him, right?
Yeah.
And when they do, he's just very vague about stuff, or like he's very like, oh, screw y'all type deal.
Yeah.
The world must end. And it's funny to see, like, it was worrying to see how many people sided with that.
Oh, yeah.
But not for like the point, or finally they're like, the point makes sense. I'm like, yeah, the point makes sense. And then but it was funnier when everyone's like, he's so hot, he's right.
I know. But Mappa did make him beefy. I'm not
They did make him
there.
beefy in comparison.
Yeah, they made him
right.
beefy. Yeah.
Animation was really good. I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I was low-key worried, but I can tell they put effort in this one compared to other projects right now. So.
What do you mean?
We'll talk about that later. Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
We're talking about that later. We were focusing on this. Right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But so pacing-wise, I'm actually glad they put out an hour and 24 minutes.
Me too. They needed that whole hour and 24 minutes.
They ended up doing a movie. See?
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that they do. I remember I don't know when we talked about this, but I actually was worried that they just do season 4 as a movie. But I'm glad they did season 4, and these specials are the movies.
Yeah.
I can see why they couldn't find a good naming convention, honestly, because I don't know what you call it. It's really just the final battle.
It's just the
It's
final
chapter.
battle. Yeah.
It really
final
is.
chapters. Yeah.
So as much as I gave it flack for their naming convention, it's fine. It's good.
Hey, it's long.
I could
It's
do better.
triggering.
I could not do better. But I will stand on that hill where I hate the name. The name's dumb, but
Dude,
I still gave it
so
a chance.
dumb. Yeah.
Because I know some people like didn't like it, but they're like, no, I'm not watching this, or they let that feeling sit on them more, and they don't really get to see the story as well.
The story, yeah.
Speaking of, he didn't change. We had predictions that he possibly changed.
Yeah, but he didn't.
He didn't. And I saw an interview. I don't know if you saw this, but I saw an interview, and he actually said he wanted to still, but in the end, he just decided not to.
Yeah.
Like he actually just it was like, no, I can't.
I think it's like kind of like an ownership, right? Because when you finish something, I feel like as a creative, you're like, this is it. Like I'm standing on this hill with this ending, like forever.
Yeah.
So I think if he would have changed it, it would have gotten a lot of more backlash.
Yeah.
Because what if it wasn't good?
What if it wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
But I read like a interview that he was in, and he was like saying how he kept the ending because he felt like it actually for him personally, it actually felt like Aaron's struggle, and that he's like, technically I started like doing this as it should artistically, it should be freeing to write all this stuff. But he's like, once I started, he's like, I felt like I was shackled, and I was worried about, I already had the ending in mind, and I was actually not free to do what I wanted. And he's like, and it mirrored Aaron's struggle. And he's like, I could see the ending, but I couldn't change it as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I like
But this man is so calculated, though.
Yes. With how many things.
So calculated.
I mean, honestly, if he had the ending from the beginning, he just had to work backwards. So that's why it works.
Yeah.
If he already had the ending, right? So that's why he was able to do all that.
This man's a little too calculated.
So at the time when I read it, I was like, this sucks. Like, I thought it was super cheesy. I thought it was really, I was like, well, at the time I was like, it's just a love story.
It's a tragic love story. Put tragic in front of it.
But
the love story.
Overall, I think when I sell this to people or try to sell Attack on Titan to people, I'm like, it's not, you can't just, I hate saying it sounds really cringy, but it's like, you can't just define this in one genre.
No, you can't.
But you can't. It's not that you're trying to constrict it to one, but it's so, there's phases in the story that it morphs into something. Like initially we're like, oh, it's like a scary tragedy, like scary tragic, like Titan. It's all focused on Titans, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden it becomes political. All of a sudden it becomes like thrillery. Like all this stuff. It's just,
and then like all action and adventure and like
it just keeps changing. And it's so good. I think that's what made it really good too. Was the journey was just actually ever changing.
Yeah.
And
it's complicated. Attack on Titan is complicated. Yeah.
And I know some people do even bigger deep dives, and they're like, oh, like hitting meanings and all that stuff. And there is a lot. And then I've seen some that are like kind of go really far. And I'm like, let's reel it back a little bit. But like addressing like the essentially like class and like like the how this all started with his dad with the whole military thing. It just it hit. Because you see the struggle with like the Marlians and the Eldians at the end still. And it still happens. And you're like, this
it just didn't stop. It was impossible for Eren to truly stop that. Yeah. I mean, he killed 80% of the population, so for his friends.
And let's just talk about that. Well, what do you want? What big point you want to talk about? Because I know there's like two for sure.
There's
two that they got changed.
I think the first one is Levi. That man had like 2 fingers on one hand, one eye was like ripped out, his leg got broken, and he still finished the job. I just want to talk about how he saw
everything he went through. Everything he went through, kill on sight. It's still kill on sight. He knew the mission kill on sight no matter
He was
what.
like, he looked, and then I think like Gabby's expression was like, "What?" And he was like, "Here we go again. I gotta go finish business."
Well, because Gabby just sees Zeke, right? And that's it.
Zeke, yeah.
But Levi's like, dead, 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 dot.
I think that's one of the points.
His whole arc was just good. It felt so good.
Dude, it was so good.
It hit again just seeing it. I was like, oh, when you see all the scouts in front of him, I'm like, oh.
The other item.
Oh, I was going to say the detail on that for Levi.
Yeah.
Real quick. If you were going to move away from that. Did you notice how like Erwin has a different hand?
Yep.
Using it? And some people forgot. And I'm like, bro, his other hand's gone. What do you mean?
His other hand's gone. Yeah. No. The one thing I was going to bring up was the ODM gear. It was so good. I feel like everyone's always comparing Wit versus Mappa. But if you look back, Wit does have the better ODM gear, like, scenes.
Yes.
In my opinion. And then Mappa has the better, like, animation style for what Attack on Titan is purposed for, if that makes sense. But the ODM gear, like, was really good. Like, the sequences were really good this time around. But Gene, he's top of the class. He was the top of the class at the beginning of the season, and that showcased him. And I was like, wow, thank you for showcasing that he's not only like a background character.
They got to highlight the class very well, like the top 10.
Yeah.
Dude, there's like so many little things where like Gene with calling Reiner a scout still. Like he
needed to hear that. Reiner has been through it.
Can we say like I agree with you? Reading it hit, but like hearing them and hearing it, this music, like it just felt more impactful. Like you just feel the emotion. And this is why I was like, okay, I like it. Like I like manga for like the plot, yes.
Yeah.
But I know some people like the imagination part because they read books probably. But
me,
I listen to audiobooks. I don't have to imagine that hard.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think I just appreciate like hearing all this stuff, and it's different.
No, yeah, and I think Reiner truly needed to hear that because he's been through it all.
The cabin scene was longer. You mentioned this off the bat.
It was so long, and I was just like, I started tearing up. I truly did start tearing up. I just didn't know if I could was able to hear Eren and Mikasa's voice actors go through that. And I was like, I can't.
I've seen the behind the scenes, and it's like pretty emotional too. I was like, dang.
And my husband, he does this thing where he like starts smirking when he knows I'm about to like, you know it. When I'm about to get emotional, he's like, and so he looked, and then he was like, "You're crying, aren't you?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm not." And then like tears start like coming down.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah,
fine.
that cabin scene. Reading it was really emotional for me, but seeing it and how they extended it and the voice acting, I was like, I can't do this. It's just two lovers that can't even do anything.
Nope. And it's funny because now people are going back to seeing like how Mikasa reacts to things and how Eren reacts to things, mainly Mikasa. And it's really funny how everyone's like, because they played it off so well where they're like, oh, this is just like it's just a hereditary thing, like she goes like berserk, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
it's just love.
It
was just love.
Yeah.
So
and I like how they animated Eren hugging Mikasa back, because thinking back in that manga panel, he was just kind of like a stiff guy. But Cabin Eren looks good.
That's what I've seen online.
So I see why Mikasa wants him.
The what if? Everyone's like, can we just... I think you're like, can we just stay here?
Yeah, can we just stay here, please?
Everyone weirded out. Oh, before we touch that, I thought it was cool to just see all the Titans again. But like...
Dude.
That was crazy. A cool reveal.
Yes.
I forgot how much the Titan aspect has just always been cool, but it was cool to see all the versions that were made throughout the years, right?
Different iterations is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it always hit when you got to see the OG ones that you see throughout time, and you just see them come up, and like I think when Zeke died, that's when like everyone like just kind of. I think they flipped sides, or the ones that knew the characters flipped.
Yeah,
in a sense,
which was great to see.
Yeah, it was just so cool, but it was also cool to see. It was just fun to see. I think seeing the certain panels, like when Armin is with the Titans that like helped out, and he's like, it just looks so good. All the animation just looks so good.
Dude, I love it when he like goes into Titan form. It's a little scary because his is like the big one.
Oh,
like
when
the
they made the
big
big
one.
Explosion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he bigger than
He's about the same size as
Bernthal? I can never say his name because
Yeah.
I've heard they made him huge, but I guess I couldn't tell. Like, they didn't have him side by side, I don't think.
No.
I was too engrossed in watching like what's going on, so I didn't see. Cameron scene, and then I didn't. Okay, so
Oh no.
my wife explained to me like with Aaron and Armin, their talk definitely changed, or it was reordered. No, they reordered some things.
Yeah, they did.
Or it felt more impactful, or it just felt better to hear it and see it move. Because because my wife and I went back, she showed me the panels and did a comparison. She's like, see, here they did this, but in the anime they did this instead, or they moved it around. Like I think just the reveal with how he had to kill his mom, how Bernthal had to like live.
Yeah.
In the manga, it was just a very like, oh yeah, this happened.
Yeah.
And then Armin reacts, and then that's it. While here it's like, what?
Yeah, and Armin taking the burden too, some of the burden off of Eren.
Yeah.
I think people always concentrate on like Mikasa and Eren, but they forget about Eren and
it's a trio.
Armin,
it's a trio. Yeah.
But like they truly forget that Armin, I think, truly understands Eren and like supports him even when he kills 80% of the population.
But when you hear why, it's like they have to have even ground, and then of course he's the bad guy, right? But
they're like platonic soulmates. I am like,
okay,
I will die on this hill that they are platonic soulmates.
But it was so funny watching that scene when I've seen some dudes react on here, and I'm like, oh shoot, I had the same thought for some reason, even though I've read this.
The tension
was there when we'll talk about that real quick, but when they're in like the blood and they're like looking at each other, and I'm like, and one dude, I think I saw one TikTok dude, he's like, are they, oh god, they're about to, and then they hug, and he's like, okay. Yeah. And then all the comments was like, I thought that too, Lo. And I'm like, I thought that too, and I know how this ends.
Yeah. No, there was tension there, but I think it was just like how like animation was, and like how the voice actors were like being told like what direction to go in. But no, I thought that was really funny. But I think people do forget that Armin and Eren have like a really strong connection.
Yeah. They started like Mikasa was usually like the quiet one, and then Armin and Eren were always not at heads, but they were always the one talking. And I'm like,
Armin just wanted to see the world.
Yeah, I think it's just because everyone kind of disregards Armin as like the screamy kid, crybaby. But by the end, they're like, oh, he's cool. So
yeah, and they did get to see the world one last time together.
Dude, yeah, the transition to each part was done just easy. It was easier to tell. Because you could tell that they're growing up. You could tell that they're in different spots. Yeah, they're aging up. It was easier to tell than the manga. Like, the manga you could kind of tell, but not as well.
Yeah, but not as well.
I think the change when he started crying, revealing, oh, I don't want Mikasa to think about anyone else but me. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. Some people forget that this dude is like 17, 19, right? He's still a teenager. He's 19. He's 19 at this point, right?
Yeah.
He's still just a teenager.
He's a baby.
Like, dude.
He just wants the love of his life.
His life's about to end. Yeah, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Like, I had time to like process that. I'm like, that is actually very sad. Like,
for the next 10 years, he does not want Mikasa to think about anyone else but him for the next 10 years.
She doesn't. Like if someone did like a end the credit scenes and they counted, it was 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that's wild.
It's crazy.
Or the overall time was 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I forget if there's a time skip, a little bit of a time skip when they do like the Armin and them are about to come back to Paradiso.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I loved that. Another thing with the animation, when they changed places and while he's crying over Mikasa, it's blood. It's not even. It's in the manga. It just looked like water still, right?
No, it did. It did. I thought they were like in the water, but it's blood.
Because even when he held up, like, because they just showed like the teeth and like the hair and all that, but he held it up too. Like Eren held it up. I'm like, ooh, this is
nasty.
It's nasty. But you couldn't tell. It was easier to see in the anime. I'm like, oh, it's so much more impactful.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I love that change. That's what it made me love the ending more.
Yeah,
like
extending that and changing the sequence, it helped a lot.
Just Armin and Eren talking. I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
Now to let you know, I forgot that this was all happening before.
Oh.
You and my wife caught that. I caught it, but I forgot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, they already talked.
They already talked.
Yeah, I forgot that reveal.
That's the sad part.
Yeah, that was the talk. And then, because then when they flipped it back to the boat, that's when it clicked for me. But it shows it in the manga. I just didn't think about it because it's a panel. It was just a quick panel.
It was a quick panel.
So that's my dark secret with this one. I was like, oops.
You're like, oh.
I was like, that just became cooler. Was that your favorite part?
I think so.
Or was the cabin, or was it
No, it was that part. And then the cabin. Mm-hmm. But I think the part that was like where I was like most anticipated for was when Mikasa was getting ready to like ramp up and just slice the head. I think I was anticipating it because I was thinking like, how are they going to showcase this and like reflect what Eren's seeing? And I think they did it.
It was done very well. Yes,
it was done great.
Everyone, I think I love seeing the little details, and I'm sure people will just sit on the internet reading all these things. It's like seeing the reflection. Like this is the last thing he sees, and I think it's the first time he actually looks up, and it's to see her. And I'm like, oh, that's so good.
Because this entire time his eyes are closed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
His eyes were closed until.
Yeah. So I was like, God damn it.
I appreciate it more because I found it. I was like, oh,
it's more endearing.
It's animated. More endearing, animated, and I get the impact now because everyone's like, Ymir's like stuck in that cycle.
Yeah.
And it
vicious
hurt.
cycle.
At first I didn't get it, but now seeing it again, but I also sat on it. I didn't get the Ymir's was like released because of Mikasa, and I was like, why is that? And then actually,
because she was slave to her love.
Yeah.
For the king.
I think the cabin scene made it better this time around because he actually said, forget about me, do all this stuff, throw away the scarf, and she doesn't.
No.
And I was like, oh, that was the turning point.
Because she's not enslaved to him.
My goblin brain didn't get this the first time around. I was just more like, this is a damn love story.
I remember that you're like, this is just a love story, and I was like, it's a tragic one, but it's a good one.
But it's a good one. I get it. It's fine. But this is where most people, like anime viewers now, if they've only watched, this is the part where they become divisive, and they're like,
yeah,
same thing as me, but I think I've gotten over it, and I feel like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
At first, my husband was like, I don't get it. And I was like,
didn't you explain it?
Tragic love story. He goes, ugh. My husband's like one of those guys. He's like, ugh. He's like, but then he was like, I keep forgetting what happens. I have to reread everything online. So it took him like an afternoon, and he was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, no, it's deep. It's honestly pretty deep when you have to really think about the connections and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any cons, pros? I know the pros we've talked about. Any cons that you felt?
I am just sad that it's over.
Yeah. The con is that it's done.
The con is that the last chapter is 139, and in Japan 140 is freedom. So Eren was just never free.
I think that's another thing that was wild to see.
I hate him.
Isayama was a monster.
No, he wants to see the world burn. That's what he wants to see. In one of his interviews, as soon as the manga ended, he goes, yeah, I just want to see people cry and open up an onsen. They can have their tears flow in there. And I was like, how dare you even think about that?
And this is how we get good writing, boys and girls.
Yes. But no cons. I'm kind of sad it's over.
The
but
con
also,
for
like,
me...
I don't know. Oh, I was just going to say, like, I'm just going to, like, dive deep into everything.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan now.
The con
That's
overall...
the con.
Yeah. The con overall to me is just the pacing of how it was released.
Yes.
I think for me, I will go back to this every time. I started this watching it first from the beginning when it released, and I waited for the 5 years, and then I didn't start because I was like, oh, what if they do this again to me? What if they do another 5 years?
You had no trust.
I had no trust whatsoever. I actually did not trust this, but you and like our friend group egged me on to like keep reading it or watching it, and I was like, all right, it's fine.
Hey, you watched season 2 and 3 in like a week.
Well, it was during the the lockdown,
yeah.
so I had nothing else to do. I was in my apartment by myself. I was like, you know what? I'll watch this. I'll give it a shot.
I'll be depressed.
I proceeded to stay up like a couple of nights because I was so in. I was like, dang. So I think it was a good ride. I think it was fun.
No, yeah, that is a good con to have.
Yeah. Because it really is just a review of the whole thing now at this point.
I know.
Yeah. But we could, honestly, for those expecting a deeper dive, just go online. There's all this stuff online. Trust. Overall, I think it was fun. I think it was great. As much
Mikasa's final line.
The other con is the titling, but
yes,
that's it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I enjoyed the ride.
No, me too. Mikasa's final line, I could hear the voice actor. She had the final line of Attack on Titan.
Was it the singing or was it the line? A legit line?
It was the line.
Okay.
Like, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. Okay. It was. I also want to appreciate that the end credit made it easier to understand the last manga panels. Like the whole time skip thing.
Yeah.
Like people catching on. It's just fun to see people catch on to like the details. Last question though. Is it Jean, John?
I think so. I truly think so.
I think so too.
She friend zoned him long enough. But you want to hear something funny? She gave Aaron 10
years. Oh, what?
That Mikasa is Jada Pink and Aaron is Tupac.
It is. Oh my god. And Jean is the Will Smith. Because when she dies, have you seen that where Jean's like, Jean dies and he's like, where's Mikasa? We spent the rest of our lives together. We had a family.
She's in hell.
She's in hell with
Oh sad. My god.
Pain. True pain.
It's so funny. Do you think Aaron is in hell? I think Discord went crazy.
Oh.
No.
Possibly.
There you go.
Yeah, Discord's weird.
Do you think Aaron is in hell?
Not with the way they depicted it. Hell looks nice for the way they depicted it.
Yeah, it does.
Did you know that there's an official ending? Official outro? Sorry, official outro?
Yeah.
Then hell looks nice.
Yeah, then hell does look nice.
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, Armin said it would be
repented enough. I think he repented enough.
I think with the intent... No, well, with the action. But, yeah.
He did it for his friends. I think that,
because no matter what, the final ending, no matter what, the cycle was going to continue.
Oh, yeah. And
the only difference was, there's no Titans. They got to be free. They got to be free of that curse. I thought that was depicted way better where the cycle continues. I know some people were upset by that, but...
That's realistic.
That's realistic. That's life. Yeah.
war is bound to rewrite
It still
itself
happened. Yeah, it's like just because they got rid of the Titan like transformation,
issue. I mean, things are evolving. Like
they still bombed the world again.
they still, yeah.
Yeah. That was all the messages were like realistic and it was pretty good.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
say it's done well.
It was great.
Got anything else?
I don't. I just
No?
tears. The more I want to talk about this, the more tears I can feel ball.
Are you gonna rewatch this?
I think so.
I will give it a bit. I may rewatch like fully.
Yeah.
Again, because it's been a long.
I think I'll
Long
catch new stuff or like what's foreshadowing.
Or you'll finally see it better.
Yeah.
I guess again.
Yeah.
But on that note, I'm just gonna close it out.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. You could follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at NgoVo Convo and NgoVo Convo. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button and notification bell. Subscribe, all that stuff. Hit it from right to left. Hit all those buttons from right to left. That's how I do it. Trust me, it gets it all going. Let us know how we're doing in the comments. How you felt? Did you cry? Did you not like this ending?
Ugly tears.
Do you feel like it was short or fulfilling? I don't know. Just let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
Because this has been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
But yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.